Good night. Well, it's after marathon. I decided to do a 3 video marathon today because I'm bored. But this video might be maybe an hour and I'm done after that. I just came back from my swimming. Yeah. What do you have to? All I had today was just one chicken and a bit of veggies, and I'm having another chicken now and veggies, and then I'm having my Subway after I drink my beer and I enjoy the show with you guys, and after that I'm gonna listen to music and go to bed. Yeah. That's why your face looks dry. Yeah, that's why my face looks dry. Yeah. So I decided to do a 3 video marathon today because I'm bored. There's not really to watch on YouTube, so I decided to do 3 videos. But this video will not be as long. Maybe a 51-hour video. And I'll watch it with you guys, drink my beer. Then I'm gonna listen to some music and then go to bed and listen to music to sleep through videos and I'm crying right now. Yeah. Was your younger stepbrother really talented? Yeah, he was, man. He was an amazing receiver. Amazing. But the whole thing was an act, obviously. The actors, right? Your family are actors or roughly people. No. 100%, yeah. All right, if your family was average, you think your brothers would have made it to the pros? I think my elder stepbrother would have had a shot at the NFL. He would have got his NFL shot, but maybe not make the NFL. But he would make the CFL as he made the CFL playing college. But he didn't do that good in the combine, obviously. But he still got drafted. He was a mid-round, fourth-round pick. My elder stepbrother was. My younger stepbrother was not drafted because he was O-line. He wasn't good at O-line, D-line. But how he played receiver, had my younger stepbrother played receiver, he would have probably been a first-round pick in the CFL. And maybe an undrafted free agent in the NFL, right? Maybe even a seventh round draft pick in the NFL. I don't know. Obviously, it was an amazing receiver, man. How good of a receiver was he, Ivan? He was so good that he made it look easy. Like they'd be like six because he was such a tall guy. They'd be like 3, 4 corners, and he just like catches the ball. He made it look so easy, and he also did track and field, and he won the whole competition in track and field as a young kid. I was like a 17, 16-year-old kid who was doing football and track and field. He won the whole competition. Yeah. He would have made it in track and field as he won the competition at a young age. I think he came second place or he was first place or something like that. Yeah. Like I said, brother, he was very talented. My older stepbrother was an amazing linebacker too, but he wasn't on the same level as my younger stepbrother, right? My younger stepbrother had much more potential than him. Yeah. But my older stepbrother was not the greatest. He was an okay tester in terms of like bench press and 40, but he wasn't the greatest tester, obviously, in terms of the 40 and the bench. My younger stepbrother was an amazing tester. He ran like a 4.5, I think 6 at age 15 without training, which means had he went to the CFL Combine, he trained and he played in the NCAA or the CIS, he probably would have ran a 4.2 at the CFL Combine. I think my younger stepbrother, if we were an average family, he would have been a first round pick in the CFL and maybe an undrafted free agent in the NFL. Because the NFL has a bias towards Canadians. That's the truth, right? It doesn't matter how good you are as a Canadian. Chances are in the NFL, they have a bias towards Canadians. They have a bias towards Canadians, obviously. Chances are he would have been an undrafted NFL free agent or maybe a seventh, sixth round pick. But I believe my younger stepbrother, if we were an average family, he would have had a shot in the NFL. He might have maybe made the NFL, maybe he doesn't do too good, and But I believe my younger stepbrother, if we were an average family, he would have killed the CFL as a Canadian. The NFL maybe not, but he would get a shot, or maybe he would do pretty well. I don't know, but in the CFL he would kill the CFL. My younger stepbrother, if we were an average family play receiver, easy first round pick. As he was already outperforming all these amazing first round draft picks in the CFL as testers at a young age. He was 15 and he ran a 4.56 at the 40 without training. And all these guys at the CFL Combine train, the receivers, they run like 4.6s, 4.5s, 4.4s. That's with years of training. And him without training at a young age, he ran like a 4.56. He was fucking fast. Hence why he made it look easy when you in the leagues, because he outran the corners. He made it look so easy. Obviously, that's why everyone who knew about my brothers, they all said my older stepbrother had. Most people said my older stepbrother has a shot in the NFL, but like everyone was like, my younger stepbrother, he's gonna make the NFL and everything. But they all knew the whole thing was an act, obviously, because they already have their will, obviously. Yeah. And the truth is, the NFL has a bias towards Canadian players. It doesn't matter how good you are as a Canadian player. Chances are, if you go to the NFL, they have a bias towards Canadian players. The NFL doesn't really like Canadian players that much. That's why you have the CFL. The CFL is for the Canadian players, obviously, and the NFL cuts, obviously. Because how it works in the CFL, you have something called the Canadian draft. That's only for Canadian players. The NFL guys who come to the American guys who come to the CFL, they're not part of the draft. The draft is for only the Canadian players who play in the CIS or the NCAA in Canada. They have something called the Canadian draft. It's only Canadian players. The best players in Canada, they compete. Obviously, the American players are not a part of the combine, because the CFL is because most Canadians don't really have a shot in the NFL. The CFL is like our league, right? It's our league. It's our league, obviously. And the American players do play in the CFL too, but they're what? The Canadian guys get treated better. They get paid more money, and like that's how it works in the CFL, right? Yeah. Obviously. Like in the CFL, they have a rule where you have to start 7 Canadian players. Like, that's a law. You have to start 7 Canadian players. But most of the stars in the CFL are the American guys, because the American guys are more talented than the Canadian guys. But you have to start seven starters in the CFL, Canadian stars in the CFL. That's how it works. You can start as much Canadian players as you want, but most teams have maybe 8, maybe 7, 8, 9 Canadian stars, and the rest are all the American players. Because the American players are more talented than the Canadian players in most cases. Most of the Canadian players in the CFL draft, they end up getting cut, released. They go practice roster, or they become amazing special teams player. But most of them don't really get a shot at being like a star. A lot of stars, obviously. A lot of them get their opportunity to be stars, but most of the stars are the American players. But if you're a Canadian player in the CFL and you're a star, you get paid more money because you have something called supply and demand in the CFL. I'm sidetracked. I'll talk about regional stuff. There's something called supply and demand. If the Canadian player is very good, then that Canadian player is even worth more than the amazing American player, because it's rare to find an amazing Canadian player than an American player. That's why the Canadian players are worth more than the American players. The standout Canadian players in the CFL are worth a lot more than the American players, because you have something called supply and demand. Obviously, you guys get the picture here. All the American NFL guys, I didn't know that, Ivan. Yeah, and the Canadian players are worth more than the American players in the CFL. If the guy's an amazing player, they're worth more. Because it's tougher to find a lot of amazing Canadian players compared to the American players. That's why you have something called supply and demand. Obviously, in the CFL, you have that rule. You have to start 7 Canadian players minimum. You can start as much Canadian players as you want, but most teams have like maybe 7, 8, 9 Canadian starters, and the rest of the players are all American. That's how it works, right? The NFL cuts and you either have NFL cuts or you have undrafted free agents. They all those guys end up in the CFL, or you have NCAA players who didn't get an NFL shot. They end up in the CFL too. Obviously, but the CFL is almost as good as the NFL, man. Like, there's not really much of a difference with the talent, right? It's not that much of a difference. Yes, the NFL is better, but there's not that much of a difference with the CFL and the NFL when you watch it, right? When you watch the games, there's not that much of a difference, obviously. CFL is the second best league after the NFL in the world, right? An amazing league. Not as interesting as the NFL. The NFL is obviously better, but the CFL is a very entertaining football team. It's amazing football, obviously. Yeah, like a lot of American guys, they think the CFL is a terrible league, and then once they come up here and they play, like, holy shit, man, this is almost as good as the NFL. Yeah, it's almost as good as the NFL, but it's not as good as the NFL. The NFL is obviously number one, but the CFL is a very, very competitive league too. It's a good league, obviously. Yeah. So, Sarah, why is the CFL not one of the big four? Because football is not that popular in Canada. That's why the CFL is not one of the big four. It's a big league, but compared to the big four, it's a very, very small league. You know what I'm saying? Like, in Canada, it's all about the NHL. That's why the NHL is so popular in Canada. Everyone talks about the NHL in Canada, obviously. And NBA and NFL is pretty popular in Canada. But it's not like the NHL. In Canada, it's all they talk about. You know, in the States, they talk about the NBA and the NFL all the time. Like, all the NBA players in the NFL, they already talk about the NHL in the States. In Canada, it's the opposite. It's all about hockey up here in the NHL. They'll talk a little bit about the CFL, and they barely talk about the NFL and the NBA in Canada. It's not that popular up here. Whereas in the States, it's all about the NBA, the NFL, MLB. The NHL is not that popular in the States. It's pretty popular, but it's not that popular in the States compared to Canada. Canada is where it's very popular in the NHL, whereas the CFL is not that popular in Canada. It's second most popular after the NHL, but there's a huge gap. Like, the NHL is way more popular than the CFL in Canada. The CFL is pretty popular, but it's not like the NHL, right? The NHL is way more popular in Canada than the CFL. So, Sarah. Yeah. That's why CFL players, they said the CFL players are the most underpaid players in the world. They play in a very competitive league, but they don't get paid the kind of money the NFL players, the NHL players get paid, right? They don't get paid their millions, the CFL players. They get paid good money, but not their millions, right? Yeah. Yeah. But now the CFL, they raise the amount of money. But don't forget, the CFL, the league is very greedy too. They're greedy pigs. Whenever they have the league lockdown obviously and strike, the league, they give minimal raises because they're fucking cheap. They can easily pay the players more. They're just greedy. We live in a greedy world. All the sport leagues are greedy, obviously. But now the minimum salary in the CFL, I think, is like $70,000. So if you're an American player and you come up here and you play in the CFL, you'll get your $70,000 check. And the highest you can make is maybe like the highest paid quarterbacks in the CFL make like $700,000, $64,000. Those are like star quarterbacks. They make their 750,000, 640,000, 500,000, 400,000, 300,000. The highest paid quarterbacks, like the star players, make If you're a star receiver, you can make your $200,000, $180,000, $250,000 as a receiver. Star defensive player, you can make your 150,000, your 120,000, your 200,000. And if you're an average player, you'll make like your 70, 80, $90,000 in the CFL. So it's rich money. It's good money. Like it's a lot of money. It's good. It's good. You're making a great living with that money, but they're not millionaires. So that's my point. They're not multi-millionaire CFL players. But the star players are obviously they're rich people. They're upper class. They're making a good living, obviously, and that also comes with perks. You get like housing and all that stuff paid for. If you're a star player, you can get like your money, like your 200,000. You get your housing all paid for. You get marketing money. You get all that stuff, obviously. So it's good money, but it's not like the money that the NFL players get paid, right? Yeah. Yeah. Like the highest paid quarterback in the CFL is a guy named Nathan Rourke. He's a Canadian QB for the BC Lions. He's making like a $645,000. He's starting too. He's a Canadian quarterback and he's starting. And there's a reason why he's the highest paid player because he's Canadian. If you're a star Canadian player, you're more valuable than the American player. Because the American players are a dime a dozen. The Canadian players are more rare. It's more rare to find an amazing Canadian player. And this is like our league, obviously. That's why the Canadian players get treated better than the American players in the CFL. If you're starting, they get paid more money. That's how it works. They're more. The CFL is more biased towards the star Canadian players than the American players. Just like the NFL is biased towards Canadian players. They don't like Canadian players. Nathan Rourke went to the NFL. He all you NFL players probably recognize him. Yeah, he had one good game. He played for the Ravens, I think. Yeah, he went. He did so well in the CFL. He got his NFL shot. But I told you the NFL are biased towards Canadian players. So even if you do well, in the NFL, chances are you'll be lucky to make the practice roster because they're biased. The NFL towards Canadian players. They don't really like Canadian players. That's the truth. I mean, they don't. Yeah. That's why the CFL gives the Canadian players an opportunity to play pro football up here. Because this is like our league, obviously. Yeah. Some sour. Yeah. That's how it works, right? Yeah. Yeah. I even do. Before I talk about the CFL and everything, I even do CFL quarterbacks like when they get NFL opportunities. Will they take the opportunity? Most of them don't take the opportunity because they know the chances of them starting in the NFL is very slim. Like it's very rare for a franchise NFL quarterback to lose his spot to a guy from the CFL. That's why most CFL quarterbacks are already making it. If you're making your 500,000 and you're a franchise quarterback in the CFL, you're a star player. Why would you take that risk and go to the NFL and you make the same amount of money, your minimum salary, and you're not starting and you're on the bench, and you get cut or you get put in the practice roster, and you come back to the CFL, you lost your franchise position as a QB. You know what I'm saying? It can fuck up your career. That's why most CFL QBs, if they do get an NFL shot, they end up staying in the CFL because they're already making enough money in Canada. They're a franchise player in the CFL. Why would you take that risk and play in the NFL? Yes, their ultimate dreams to play in the NFL, but you got to think about your family, your career. You have families to feed. You have to think about that stuff, right? Yeah, but the CFL can't compete with the NFL when it comes to salaries. The only thing they can compete with the NFL is like your starting position. Like, look, man, you like the GMs probably tell the CFL quarterback, look, man, we can't compete with the NFL. If you want to go to the NFL, you can take your shot in the NFL, but your chances are you're going to get released, as it's very rare for franchise players, starting players in the NFL to lose their position to some random guy. It's very rare for that to happen. There's exceptions where there's a few CFL guys who went to the NFL and they end up starting and everything, but it's rare, man. Chances are they're going to get cut because they have favoritism in the NFL, and if they're not going to replace their star players with a random another guy who's trying out for the team. Like, it's tough. And you also have other guys you have to compete with who are trying to get the starting position in the NFL. You see what I'm saying? There's also favoritism and bias too in pro sports. That's the truth, right? And that's why most CFL players, a lot of them turn down enough opportunities. They just stay in Canada because, yeah, I already have a good career here. I'm a star in the CFL. Even though my dreams make the NFL, like, I have to think about my family. I have family to feed. I'm a star player. I'm making good money up here. Even though it's not NFL money, the chances of me starting the NFL is not high. It's tougher. The NFL is a better league, obviously, and it's very rare for a franchise player, QB, defensive player, to lose their position to another guy. And even if they do lose their position to another guy, chances are it'll be another guy who's already on the team, who's maybe second string. Because to be a starter, you have to compete with the third string, the second string, and you have the franchise player who's the first string. It's very tough. That's why most CFL players end up staying in Canada when they obviously. Well, a lot of them do take NFL opportunities, but most of them end up coming back to CFL. You get this news: this guy got cut. He's now in the CFL. That's why most CFL players just stay up in Canada. Obviously, yeah. If they're star CFL players and they have a good career, they're making good money. You know what I'm saying? They end up staying up here because they already have a good paying job. They're stars. Which, even though the NFL's better and they can pay more money, your chances of starting is not high, man. You know. That's what I'm saying. That's how it works, right? Yeah, all the CFL's games, I know your shit. I know my shit, man. I know a lot about sports too. Yeah, I know a lot about sports too. Yeah, man. I know a lot about sports too, man. Yeah. Yeah. Most underplayed players in the world, man. Because I believe the CFL players deserve a bigger raise, but the league's greedy. The league can easily pay the players more, but they're greedy, obviously. They don't want to pay the players more because they're greedy. They give like small little raises because the league's greedy, man. They're greedy pigs, the leagues. Yeah. Some sorry. Because the NFL pulls in like 22 billion every year. The CFL is only like a $250 million a year league. The league makes like $250 million a year in the CFL. So it's a big league. It's making tens of millions every year, but compared to the NFL, it's a small little league, right? It's a big league, obviously. If you have a business that makes $250 million, that's a big business, obviously. It's not making the money that the NFL's making. Some because football's not as popular in Canada compared to the States. Hence why CFL players don't get paid as much, because it's just not, football's not as popular up here, man. That's the truth, man. It's all about hockey up here. It's barely about the CFL. Like, you go on TV, the sport anchors and everything, they barely talk about this. They talk a little about the CFL. It's always about hockey, like Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid. You know what I'm saying? It's all about that, man. That's what it's all about in Canada, right? That's all they talk about in Canada. It's hockey. It's all about hockey up here. Yeah. Some Sarah. That's why my older stepbrother didn't really care about making the CFL, because he's worth more than the entire league. My stepbrothers, they have more money than the entire league's revenue, man. They have a multi-trillion-dollar will. Yeah, that's why it was an act. The whole thing was an act. And they have more money than even they're even worth more than the entire NFL league, right? Well, the NFL's worth about $50 billion. I heard around there. The league generates about $22 billion a year. Well, my stepbrothers are worth more than the entire league and the entire CFL put together, and as well as all the players' salary combined. My stepbrothers are worth more than all sport leagues combined, all the net worth of all the big four sport leagues combined, as well as the CFL, even FIFA, soccer. They're worth more than all that, man. They have a multi-trillion-dollar will, man, a huge will. As the gatekeepers probably have hundreds of trillions in the bank. They own the whole thing right now. That's why the whole thing was an act. They didn't care about making the NFL or the CFL. It was an act, man. They're worth more than the whole, all the big four leagues combined, and all the players' salaries combined. I got duped because I thought guys like Tom Brady and all these guys were much bigger than like my family and my everybody. It was an act, man. But my family, BJ, my family, your family, they own the sport leagues, man. They own the big four sport leagues too. Yeah, obviously, they own the big four sport leagues. Yeah, that's how powerful they are, man. They own everything in the world, man. That's why you're not touching the dime off my book, man. Zero. That money's for me, but you're not touching it. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Who's there? Yeah. That's why the CFL is known as like a blue collar league because the athletes are not like they're not A list celebrities like the big four leagues. They're celebrities, but they're C list celebrities. They're celebrities, but they're not like multi-million-dollar like sports stars. They're like an everyday average person who makes their 70,000, 150,000, $200,000. They're C list celebrities, CFL players. They're celebrities, but they're not A list celebrity. They're not an A list celebrity like Tom Brady and like Connor McDavid and Crosby. No, they're C list celebrities. They're celebrities, but they're like C listers, right? Because they're not multi-millionaires. Just like the actors who work for the independent studios, C list actors obviously, who make $200, $300 a year, they're celebrities too, but they're C list celebrities. They're not like Hollywood famous multimillionaires. Oh, did you guys get the picture? Yeah, I get the picture, Ivan. Yeah. That's like the CFL, right? They're like the celebrities, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, Sarah. Ivan, you think you would be able to make the NHL if you trained as a kid? Yes, I would. I'm God. I have the keys. God gave me all the gifts to be successful, obviously. Yeah, man. I don't think I'd be as good as like the generational talents like Sidney Crosby and Carmen David if I trained as a kid and I played in the NHL. I think I'd be a great player, but not as good as those guys. Those guys are fucking amazing athletes, man. They do unspeakable things, man. When I watch their highlights, man, like I watch Sidney Crosby's highlights, I watch Carmen David's highlights. I'm like, how the fuck do they just do that, man? Like that's like godlike talent, man. Yeah, man. Like, oh, he just did that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Yeah, man. Yeah. But I'm too big for the NHL. I'm too big for the NFL. I'm too big for the NHL. I'm too big for all those leagues. I'm worth more than all those leagues, man. I'm too big. They can't afford me. Yeah. But me being me being the NHL would boost the ratings of the NHL, and the NHL will become the number one watch sport around the world because why? And the NHL will now end up beating MLB and NFL in views because I'm so amazing to watch. Yeah, yeah. And if you're in the NHL and you put on a show, like yeah, just watching me with a puck. Even though I might not be as good as some of the players, watching me with a puck is fucking cool. And scoring, that's fucking cool, right? It's a show, right? Yeah, it's special. But I think if I trained as a kid, as a young kid, hockey, I think I'd be I'd be an amazing NHL player. I'd make the NHL. I have all the gifts, man. Yeah, man. To be successful in sports. Why, right? I don't think I'd be as good as guys like Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby. I think I'd be a great player. But not as good as that, man. That's fucking crazy, man. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. Yeah. Well, I don't think you'd be able to make the NHL if I trained as a kid. Yes, I would, man. I have the gifts, man. God gave me all the gifts to be successful. That's why the gatekeepers lock the doors on me, man. Yeah. My potential's unlimited for whatever I do. Even in apologetics, as you guys are blown away by my Bible topic, that's how you know I'm gifted, man. Even Sam Shamoon, yeah, I even like you blow me away with your apologetics, and that's me with little training, Sam. And yet I know how to demolish arguments and blow people's minds away with the Bible. I wrote my book. I wrote my book, even though it's a bit raw. You know what I'm saying? I wrote the greatest novel written. I have all the gifts to be successful. I have the potential to be one of the best or the best in what I do, because God gave me VJ the gifts. That's why the gatekeepers lock the doors on me, because they know I'm too powerful. You know, I'm not gonna let Ivan make his money unless he sells to me. That's why I came with the keys the way they don't do me, man. Yeah, man. Otherwise, if you sell to them, Ivan, and you're in Hollywood, they're gonna guard towards your career, and you VJ are gonna make your millions, but you're not gonna make your billions. I'm meant to make my billions, I'm not meant to make my billions. That's how it works right now. Alright, if you think Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid are the best players who played the game in history, no, they're not. They're not the best players in the game. They're one of the best, but they're not the best. Obviously, there's other greats out there who are better than them. Obviously, right? Yeah, not the best. Obviously, you gotta respect the greats, man. Yeah, man. Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid are one of the best players who play the game, but they're not the best players who play the game, right? Yeah. That's why I think they should make a CFL game. That'd be a sick game. But the CFL is not rich enough to make a game. The league is not rich enough to make a game. That's why they can't afford to make a game. I heard they were going to make a CFL game, but it didn't happen because the CFL doesn't have enough fans for them to perhaps make their money back, right? The CFL doesn't have enough fans. That's why there is no CFL game. But if they made a CFL game, that'd be a sick game. I'd play that. That'd be a sick game. I used to play Madden all the time back in the day on PlayStation 3. I'd play online against all these Americans online and Canadian players. I used to play NHL online too. I enjoyed NHL online more than Madden, right? I was pretty good at NHL online too. I had like a 100 record. I would lose half my games and win half my games. I play like 200 games. I win 103. I lose like 80, like 95 games. I was pretty good at NHL Online. But Madden, I was terrible. I wasn't. Madden is harder than NHL, man. It's fucking hard, Madden. Madden, I was not that good at online. I was pretty good, but I wasn't that good at Madden Online. You know what I'm saying? Like, Eric Seppo is pretty good at Madden Online. He's pretty good. I remember I hear him, he gets pissed off. He's like, fuck, man. Yeah, like, what pisses me off about online is when you're, like, winning, and the guys, like, come back and they beat you, like, last minute, man, and you're, like, all pissed off. Happens to me many times in NHL online as well as Madden, too. But Madden, I'm not that good at online. Madden's hard, man. I wasn't that good at Madden online. I was okay, but NHL was pretty good online. I was pretty good, right? I was pretty good. Yeah, I'm sidetracking, guys. I remember when I was lost, obviously. That's how you know the gates are wicked, obviously. I remember when I was lost, obviously. I remember, like, my stepfather was like, holy shit, man, like, this quarterback in the CFL is making $400,000. That's a lot of money. He was acting because I thought he was making like his 100K a year, you know what I'm saying? And the whole thing was a fucking act, man. They fucking own everything, man. They have their multi-insurance, they dupe me, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. My older brother was like, yeah, man, I want to make the NFL and make my millions. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh my god, you might make it, you know what I'm saying? Or you might be successful in the CFL, make his $200,000, $300,000. The whole thing was a fucking act. The fucking sons of the gatekeepers. And they have their huge woman. I got duped, man. I got fucking duped. That's why I'm very pissed off. They fucking duped me, man. Other wicked people. They duped me. They locked it. It wasn't me. They fucking duped me. Fucking gatekeepers, man. Yeah, that's a crazy story. I know it's a crazy story. Yeah. I saw Sidney Crosby, by the way, right? I remember when I was working at Cora's and I finished my shift at work. I remember the Ottawa Senators, because Ottawa has an NHL. Ottawa has two pro teams. They have the NHL team, and they have the Ottawa Red Blacks CFL team. Right? They have two pro teams in Ottawa. I remember the Ottawa Senators were playing the Pittsburgh Penguins. I remember some of the NHL players were hanging out downtown. I remember I had my bag. I was just walking. I thought I was an average guy, obviously. I was just walking and I see like three players, and I see Sidney Crosby was I'm talking about. Yeah, I remember. I remember that. Yeah, this is like 2016. Sidney Crosby he's like talking to the guy, and I was walking and he walked like right past by. I'm like, holy shit, that's Sidney Crosby. And some people downtown were like, Sid. He was downtown like, holy shit, that's Sidney Crosby. Yeah, because I told you in Canada, NHL players are so famous. Everyone knows all the NHL players in Canada. That's crazy, man. In Canada, it's all about the NHL. Less about the CFL, less about, you know what I'm saying, the NBA, NFL. It's all about hockey in Canada. That's why I was like, holy shit, that's Sidney Crosby. You know, I was a bit like in awe. And the whole time, why? And I'm much bigger than Sidney Crosby. Yeah, crazy, huh? Yeah, the whole time, why? And Sidney Crosby's puny compared to me, man. All these guys are smaller than me. All these pro sport athletes are puny compared to me, man. I'm fucking why, man. I'm supposed to be a multi-billionaire with BJ. They're all puny compared to me, BJ, right? You reach our God, we have to keep. It's not him, guys. I'm saying. Yeah, we're all us like famous people who are multi-millionaires. We're all rich, but we're not you, man. Like you have the keys to the kingdom, and you're fucking huge. Yeah, man. I'm bigger than all those guys, man. Huge, man. Yeah. So big, the gatekeepers. That's why the gatekeepers outdoors me, because I'm very, very powerful. And VJ's very powerful too, but VJ's not as powerful as me. VJ's the second most powerful person after me, right? VJ's number two after me. Yeah. He goes Ivan Ramirez, then he goes Victoria Justice. But VJ is pretty much as powerful as me because she has a keys like me, but she's not as big as me because she's not like God. But she's almost as big as me. She's the second most powerful person in the world, Victoria Justice. But with Ivan, he's so powerful whereby I lock everything on him, have him live the average life of the average people. With Victoria Justice, she's very powerful, but she's not Ivan. You know what I'm saying? Put her in Hollywood because she's very powerful. Like guard the door and her keep her at 12 million. No one ever make her billions. These gatekeepers are psychopaths. They're crazy people. That's why I came with the keys of the case of Doobie. So I'm sorry. Yeah. But the one thing better about the CFL than the NFL, obviously, for the combine, in the CFL for the combine, you do your testing like your 40s and your bench press. They also do one on ones. In the CFL, they have something called one on ones where you actually see the players compete. The Canadian players compete. They put on their helmets. Whereas the NFL, they don't do that. They just do the testing, like the 40s and everything, and they base the draft picks off film and that. The CFL, they watch, the scouts watch the film and everything, and they see the players compete, like one on one and all stuff. That's why the CFL combine format is better than the NFL combine, because they actually have the players do one on ones and they compete and everything. Like they compete and everything. Yeah, you do drills like O line versus D line, linebackers versus running backs, receivers versus corners, D line versus O line. You know what I'm saying, yeah, it's a better format system obviously than the NFL for the combine, right? The CFL, NFL, they don't do that, which I think they should. They should have the players compete one on one, but the NFL doesn't do that. CFL does that obviously for the combine, yeah. But the one-on-one thing called by the CFL, it's not very accurate because that even if a player does bad that day, that player might have just had a bad day at the combine. It's not very accurate, obviously, but like yeah, but it's a better format than the NFL, obviously. Yeah, for the combine, right? Yeah, yeah. I've been to a few CFL games. I've been to a few Red Black games in Ottawa. When my older stepbrother played for the Red Blacks, I went to a few of his games. Yeah, entertaining game. Yeah, and the Ottawa Red Blacks is a very popular brand in Ottawa. A lot of the Ottawa fans love the Red Blacks. Whereas the Senators, the NHL team, it's a mess right now. The owner lost millions of dollars. Like fans in Ottawa don't really care that much about the NHL team. Like the one, like, you know what I'm saying? Whereas the Red Blacks, it's very popular. All the fans go there. It's packed. Whereas the Ottawa Senators NHL, it's like half empty. And I heard the past owner, lost millions of dollars in the NHL owner of the Senators. Yeah, he lost millions of dollars. He passed away. They have a new owner now, but I heard the Sens have been losing millions of dollars. That's why now they moved. They moved because the Ottawa Red Blacks Stadium in Ottawa is like right like downtown Ottawa, whereas the Senators um, arena is outside downtown, and now they're moving the arena now downtown Ottawa. That way they can get more fans. Smart business decision, obviously. So now that's more competition for the Red Blacks, right? The Sens don't have more competition with the Red Blacks, obviously, in Ottawa, obviously, right? Which is good for both. But they're two different sports. Like hockey is hockey, football is football, right? They're two different sports. So if you want to watch a football game, you watch a football game. You want to watch a hockey game, you watch an NHL hockey game, right? That's my point, right? Yeah. That'd be cool to talk about the pro sports. CFL, NFL, NHL, and some. Yeah. Almost done, guys. I'll talk for 50 minutes. I'm done here, guys. That's why the gatekeepers don't lose my money, man. You dupe me into thinking that you're an average person and you own all these you control all these leagues. You know what I'm saying? You make all that money. You think I'm gonna let you take my money? Man, you're crazy, man. The money not the boast for me, BG. It's not for you. There you go. You're just a greedy psychopath. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, you really gonna be boss. Yeah. Me and VJ Skyster's company will blow the big four leagues out of the water. We're making way more money than even the big four leagues. My Skyster's company will blow the NFL out of the water. The NFL's number one, right, out of the big four, right? NFL is by far number one, the most popular of the big four. It blows your leagues out of the water. And my company will even blow the NFL out of the water. That's why all the NFL, yeah. That's why all the NFL players and all stuff, they offer like shit now. All the NHL players are like shit because they're all the side tension now. All these famous pro athletes are the side tension. Me and VJ are the main event, man. We're fucking famous movie stars and we're making way more money than all these guys, man. Our 80, 100 billion off our brand. His brand. That's crazy, yeah. These athletes don't make that. These Hollywood actors don't make that, yeah, man. You meet your boss for king and queen. That's how proud of me we are, man. We're fucking huge. Yeah, man. And so when me and VJ attend sport, I don't know, an NHL game, an NFL game, a CFL game, whatever it is, you know, I'm like, yeah, VJ, me and you, we're bigger than all these athletes. And we're bigger. Our company is bigger than all the leagues, man. We're making way more than all these leagues. What's the most popular sport in the States? Football, man. Football's number one in the States. The NFL blows the other leagues out of the water in revenue, and I believe second is baseball or NBA. I think baseball's number two. Or no, I think it's the NBA. NBA is number two after the NFL, but there's a huge gap. Like the NFL pulls in like $22 billion a year, and the NBA pulls in like $13 billion a year. MLB pulls in about the same thing, and the NHL is the least. The NHL only makes about $7 billion or something like that. They all make billions, but my point is that like the NFL blows their leagues out of the water. NHL is number four. It's the least popular of the big four. Obviously, the NHL is not as obviously. Why is NHL number four? Because hockey's not it's not as popular in the States compared to like football, right? A lot of Americans see hockey as a weird sport, like people skating on ice. That seems a bit more boring, you know what I'm saying? Hence why fans of things are just not drawn to the NHL the way they are in the NFL and like basketball, right? That's my point. That's why I don't hate NHL players, I'm saying, yeah. I remember I saw a video, like, an NHL player was talking in an interview, obviously. He said, like, they went to, like, a restaurant, and they went to a restaurant with some NHL players, and the NBA players went to the restaurant. The NBA players got the VIP first before them. That's how you know the Americans they love the basketball players more than the hockey players, obviously. Yeah, that's why the NHL players get paid the least, obviously, right? Because the NHL doesn't do as much money as the other leagues. They get paid their millions, but not the kind of money the other guys make, right? A star NHL player can peak at maybe $50 million, $60 million, $70 million max. Whereas the other leagues, the star players are pulling in 20 million, 50 million. Like Patrick Mahomes makes like $50 million a year as a star quarterback of the Chiefs, right? Like the star players make way more money than the NHL players. And NHL players make a lot of money. They make the money too, but not the money that the other leagues make, right? The star players make. That's my point, right? Because the league doesn't do as much money. That's why they don't get paid as much. Hockey is not America's sport, man. Hockey is Canada's sport, but it's not America's sport. America sports football. Football's where it's at in the States, right? That's how it works, right? Yeah, football's where it's at. Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. Football's where it's at. Yeah. Almost done here, guys. I told you if I played in the Big Four leagues, let's say I trained and I wanted to choose a sport to play, I'd play hockey. I want to play in the NHL. There's something cool unique about the NHL. The NHL is very unique. Yeah. Why I think the NHL is very unique? Because whenever you see a star player in the NHL do like unbelievable stuff, I find it's the most jaw breaking when you see it compared to the other leagues. When you see an amazing receiver make like a one-handed catch, it's amazing. A running back making an amazing play, it's amazing. Baseball's boring, obviously. An amazing basketball player doing an amazing move, it's amazing, but it's not like hockey. Hockey, it's like it's something. It's fucking cool. It's like godlike when they do unspeakable things in hockey, obviously. Like Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid when they do unspeakable things. They do not normal things on the ice. You know what I'm saying? It's groundbreaking to see, obviously, right? Oh. Yeah. Yeah. I told you, even when I played sports, obviously, the gatekeepers locked the doors on me. Because I remember when I played football in the house league, like North Gloucester Giants, obviously. I remember I always wanted to be D-line. They kept switching me to O-line. Like all my years, I wanted to be D-line. I remember one year I was D-line. I was Pee-wee. I was starting. I was a captain and everything. And I was doing very well in D-line, obviously. And they kept switching me to O-line. And I guarantee you it's because the doors were locked. But yeah, don't let Ivan do his thing. Lock the doors and have him be in O-line. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? How come they're always switching me to O-line when I played football? I'm like, yeah, the doors are locked on me. Obviously. Yeah. What sport were you the best at? Football. I was a good D lineman. I was a good player. Obviously. But I wasn't on the same level as my stepbrothers, obviously. But to be fair, my stepbrothers were very serious about sports. I was not that serious with sports. I just played for the fun of it. I didn't really train. I didn't train or anything like that. I just played for the fun of it. But I know if I trained, I'd be an amazing football player, obviously, because I have the genes. I'm why the potentials are obviously. I have the genes, obviously. Did you ever play hockey in your life, Ivan? No, I didn't. I didn't, obviously. I never played hockey. Never played hockey. Yeah. Except for street hockey. I remember when I was younger in Montreal, me and my stepbrothers, we used to play like street hockey with all these guys. I remember I was pretty good. I scored quite a bit of goals and everything. Yeah. I was pretty good. I remember there was one game I played, I kept scoring. And then one of the hockey players, Ivan, man, you're pretty good, man. I'm like, thanks, man. Yeah, I kept scoring. I remember there was one game when I was a kid, we played street hockey, I kept scoring. He's like, Ivan, there was this hockey guy who played, this Indian guy who played hockey. He remembers me in Montreal, right? He played in the hockey league. He's like, Ivan, man, you're pretty good, man. Yeah. My older stepbrother is also pretty good at hockey too. That's how you know that my stepbrothers are gifted at sports, man. They're good at like every sport they play. They're good at. My older stepbrother was also very good at soccer too. He was good at soccer, obviously. Yeah. My younger stepbrother was amazing at soccer too. He was one of the best players on his team too when he played soccer. Yeah. My older stepbrother was gonna pursue soccer, and there was a friend of his who went to school. Then his dad told my stepdad, hey, he's playing in this football league. Oh my god, I want to play football, Dad. He was gonna play soccer, and that's what got him into football. And he played North Gloucester Giants, and you got his story now, and he ended up playing the CFL. It's a crazy story, yeah, crazy story. I know you have the potential for sports because I have the gifts, man. I know if I really put in the work and I train, I'd be an amazing athlete. Obviously, I have the gifts, the potential's there. Obviously, I remember when I played competitive soccer. Obviously, yeah. There's these two guys who I went to Darcy with, right? There's one guy who I fought in in Darcy. We had a fight, obviously. Obviously, I kicked his ass, but I don't hate him, son. He had a lot of shots, but I threw him around like a rider. Obviously, I don't hate him, son. I ever we fought. I fought that guy in Darcy, the mulatto guy. He played hockey, and he also played soccer. Obviously, right? He played soccer, obviously in division. He was an amazing soccer player. I remember I saw him play. He was amazing. He played in the same competitive league that I played in like a year prior, and he played Div 3. He played Div 3. And the other guy was an amazing soccer player. He played Div 3. When I went to the tryouts with my younger step brother for soccer, I killed the tryouts. They put me in Div 1. I made it to Div 1. I didn't do that good in the league, obviously. I wasn't that great of a player. But I made it to Div 1. My younger step brother made it to Div 1 too. He killed the tryouts. My oldest step brother, he played the year before that. He made it to Div 2. Whereas me and my younger step brother, we made it to Div 1. But I remember, I know why I made it to Div 1 because that year I trained, I went to the park. I'd always trained in soccer. Yeah, I'm playing in a competitive soccer league in the Gatineau region, right? I want to train and I want to make it to Div 1. I trained, and then once I trained and I killed the tryouts, the guys like, wow. And they immediately, first they put, what they did in the trials was they had different skills of people, obviously, and the people who were trying out, they test them against like all against these like different levels of people. I went against these guys, destroyed it. Okay, we're gonna test you out here, and I went to that area, destroyed. Okay, we're gonna put you with these guys. I'm like, why do you keep moving me? The guy's like, I thought they're putting me in a lower level, but no, they put me in the higher level. I made it to Div 1. I didn't do that great in the league, obviously. For some reason, I just didn't really do that good, obviously. But I made it to Div 1. And that year, I trained all summer long in soccer. And eventually, I transitioned to football. And my younger step brother, I think he trained with me that year, obviously, and he killed the trials. He made it to Div 1. But my older step brother, he made it to Div 2. He went to Div 2. He didn't make it to Div 1. He was in Div 2. Me and my younger step brother were in Div 1. Higher level than my oldest step brother, obviously. My oldest step brother was pretty good at soccer. He was in Div 2. Obviously, Div 3 is the worst. Div 2 is second worst. And Div 1 is the best of the best. I was in Div 1 with the best of the best. And that guy who I fought in Darcy, who I kicked his ass, obviously, don't hate him, son. And what? Oh, you actually fought that guy? Yeah, I fought him in Darcy. I fought him, I think, 3 times. I lost one time, but he did a cheap shot, right? I was pushing him, and he was very like good with his like trips and everything. But I didn't expect it. Like I pushed him, and he just did this thing, and he tripped me over. I lost there, and after that, we went in the locker towards the stairs. We didn't really have a fight there. I pushed him towards the thing, and he tried to punch me. And after that, we had the final fight in the park. But something I didn't pull any punches. I didn't want to punch him. Something told me Ivan don't punch him. Obviously, everyone was saying I lost. Obviously, everyone was saying I lost. Obviously, I'm like okay. And then my good friend who's an electrician. Obviously, he has a younger brother. He has a younger brother. Obviously, he told me, Ivan, you didn't lose, man. They were just hating on you. You threw him around like a rag doll. Yeah, he threw some punches on you, but you threw him around like a rag doll, and it ended off with me lifting him up and throwing him on the ground. I didn't. I could have threw him on the ground and started punching him, but I didn't. Something told me, Ivan, hold back, don't punch him. I didn't want to punch him because I guess because I'm holy, I didn't want to hurt him bad or something like that. You know what I'm saying? He kept punching me like almost 6, 7 times. He punched me like 6, 7 times, but I was throwing him around like a ragdoll, and everyone's saying I lost the fight. Whatever. Yeah. Some sour. Yeah. But I lost him one time. He tripped me. I didn't expect him, and I pushed the guy. He was a very skilled wrestler. Like he knew all these jujitsu stuff. Because I'm a big dude and I'm naturally strong. Obviously, I pushed him. I was pushing him. I didn't expect him. He just like tripped. He just flipped me over like one time. But that was a cheap shot. I didn't expect that. Man. I just like pushed him. And he just like did this like flip thing and he tripped me over. Then once we actually got to the nitty gritty, we fought and everything. I was throwing him around like a rag doll. He knows it. I don't hate him. He's like, yeah, obviously. Yeah. Here's some sidetracking. Almost done here. Yeah, that guy who I fought in grade 10, obviously, and the the other guy who I hung out with, the other guy who I hung out with, obviously, that's the guy who made out with that chick when I told you when those three people were making out and I was sitting there and I felt like shit. Yeah, he's one of the guys who made out with one of the chicks, obviously, who now lives in Montreal or New York, whatever it is. Yeah, he played hockey. He also played soccer too. Those guys were in Div 3 in the competitive league. I was in Div 1, and I went to Div 1 because I trained all summer. I really want. I'm like I want to make it to Div 1, and all summer I went to the park and I'll train in soccer for like I don't know a month and a half. And I went to the tryout and I killed the tryouts. For some reason I did very well in the trials, but when I played in the league I didn't do that good. But my point is, when I trained a little bit, I made the Div 1. That's how you know I have the potential then. I'm sorry? Yeah. Obviously. Yeah, going back to my older stepbrother. My older stepbrother is also pretty good in hockey, too. He doesn't know how to skate and everything, but in street hockey, he's pretty good. As I remember, he filmed a thing of him playing hockey and everything, and the people were praising him for how well he is. Yeah, you should play in the NHL as a joke, right? This guy should play in the NHL. Yeah, so you know my stepbrothers are naturally gifted in sports. He was also good in basketball too, my older stepbrother. My younger stepbrother was good in basketball too. I was pretty good in basketball, but they were naturally gifted with sports. But I'm very gifted with art, man. I'm gifted in everything, man. I have the potential, right? Even apologetics, I can do apologetics. I'm gifted too, right? Yeah, I'm gifted. Come on. Talk for an hour, guys. Almost done. I'll end this video in like 10 minutes, guys. I'm done. Yeah. Yeah, and I saw your hockey stuff. You're pretty good, man. your first video you made when you didn't look and you took the bottle and you put it through the empty air and then the bottle bounced back. That's pretty cool, Ivan. Yeah, and that's me with a little training. And I did this thing where I just like I do the I flipped the stick, and the stick went on the dehumidifier. You guys saw that? Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, you're all right. You're not bad for someone who never trained. Yeah, I'm not bad, right? If I trained, I think I'd be a good player, an amazing player, obviously. Looking at a show, right? Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you play sports when you're king? Because I don't care about sports. Like, that's not my dream. My dream is to be um a movie star like BJ. It's not being doing sports. Like, yeah, being a professional athlete's cool, but I'd rather what be a movie star like BJ. That's my dream, right? I thought because me and VJ are multi-billionaires, we can even start a sport league and easily pay. Yeah, I can easily start a sport league. I can even I can easily start a sport league that can compete with the NHL if I wanted to, and pay the athletes their millions, obviously. But I'm not going to do that. Yeah, and I play in the league and everything, but I don't care about sports. I don't give a shit about sports. My dream is being a movie star BJ. It's not doing sports, obviously. Because I'm not billions, I can easily start a league even better than the NHL if I wanted to. That's how powerful we VJ are. I'm gonna start Sky's name with VJ. That's my dream. It's not doing sports, right? Yeah. Ivan, man, all the NHL players. Ivan, man, I'd love to see you play hockey. Nah, guys, I don't care about sports, man. It'd be cool to play hockey and everything, but I don't care about sports. My dream is being a what? A movie star just not doing sports. But the NHL only generates $7 billion a year, so I can easily start a league better than the NHL if I wanted to, and I can pay the NHL players way more money than even what they make in the NHL. But it wouldn't be on TV. It'd be on. It'd be like an online thing. It'd be like an online broadcast. I easily pay everyone, the coaches and everything, way more money. Obviously, but I told you I don't care about sports. I don't care about sports. My dream is being a movie star VJ. I'm gonna start kind of with VJ. I think you want new music VJ, right? Right, sweetie? Yeah. Right, baby? Yeah. Obviously. Yeah. But I might do that hockey. I might do that hockey movie after phase one. I'm thinking of doing a hockey movie, like a rival thing like Mighty Duck. You have like a league with adults, and you have a rival thing like Mighty Duck, man. Yeah, and I can have NHL players train me and everything for the movie. Do that, right? Train you for the movie. Yeah, a hockey movie. Remember how Gretzky the Great, I'm saying the Great One. I'm saying he was in Mighty Duck. Yeah, Mighty Duck was a sick series. I love Mighty Duck. Imagine like an adult series like Mighty Duck, man. You have like this rivalry. You have a romance in it. But he's my girlfriend. Like, yeah, sick movie, man. Yeah, man. I'm thinking of doing that. Or Spar Miles Morales. I don't know. We'll see what happens, obviously, right? After phase one. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm saying, huh? Ivan, when did you know your dream was to be an actor? Ever since I did a clean slate, I'm like, yeah, I'm sold. Being a movie star is my ultimate dream with VJ. I do music too. I love music too. That's why I knew, yeah, being a movie star is my dream, man. I want to be a movie star with VJ when I became. She's cool with me. But now that I made the $20 million of the book, I can now start skyrocketing with VJ. Amen. And I can pay the Hollywood actors way more money than what they make in Hollywood. Yeah. Me and VJ are so boss that every if me and VJ want to start a business, we can easily blow out like the big businesses out of the water because we have the keys and we're gonna make our tens of billions. I can easily pay everyone way more money than what they make for all those leagues. As Sky Source will blow Hollywood out of the water. Yeah, man. And Hollywood is the best of the best, man. The Hollywood actors get paid their millions, man. Tens of millions. My company blows out of the water. Yeah, man. Paying Hollywood actors way more money than making Hollywood. That's why they're all going to beg. But you're not good for the next movie. That's how it works, right? Yeah, man. You're not good for the next movie. I'm sorry. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this late night show. That's good enough, man. I made 3 videos in a row for you guys, so that's enough. Stay tuned for my video this Saturday. And I'll make a video maybe the Wednesday, Tuesday following, another video maybe Sunday. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, talking about sports and a bit about Sky's Entertainment. Peace out, guys. Have a good night. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. Peace out. Oh, hey, son.